Hey guys, movie fan here to talk about something that, well, I really don't want to cover, but I gotta. Now, I've talked about Power Rangers for quite a long time now, and I've talked about my feelings towards Kimberly and Tommy versus Tommy and Kat. I've talked about that relationship, and I mentioned one detail, but I never gone in depth, and that would be the infamous and certainly the most controversial scene ever written, and that would be the Dear John letter from the episode No Business Like Snow Business. I've avoided this because it's not a subject I like to cover. However, now I feel that,
It's time.
yep, that's it. It's time. Now, I know this has been talked to death by many fans. My bros Skystub and Antoni have definitely talked about this. And Antoni, he did a great review on this. In fact, I suggest you check it out because he did a real good job. And I've seen many other people talk about it as to why it's bad, and pretty much mine's going to follow the same category. However, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to try to break down the letter itself. But first, in order to know the letter, you'll have to hear what it is. So right now, we're going to watch that scene.
Dear Tommy, everything is going great here in Florida. Coach Schmidt has me as ready as I'll ever be for the competition.
Man, Kimberly's gonna do great.
What else does she say?
Tommy, this is the hardest letter I've ever had to write. You've always been my best friend, and in some ways you're like a brother. But something has happened here that I can't explain. It's both been wonderful and painful at the same time. Tommy, I've met someone else.
What? That can't be right.
Tommy, maybe you should finish this another time.
Let me see. Tommy, you know I would never do anything to hurt you. But I feel like I found the person that I belong with. He's wonderful, kind, and caring. You'd really like him. Everything would be perfect if it weren't for hurting you. But I have to follow my heart. I will always care about you, Tommy. Please forgive me, Kimberly.
And that's how the letter goes. It continues just a little bit further with Tommy flashing back to the moments he had with Kimberly. And of course, Kat tries to comfort him by talking to him. And he says this.
I just don't get it. I mean, Kimberly's never mentioned anything in any of her letters. Until now.
Now, it's not really part of the letter, but it is important to the situation. And I will address that a little bit more later. Now, of course, in order to break it down, I got to cover what they say word for word, starting with the opening.
You've always been my best friend, and in some ways you're like a brother.
Now, this is bad in so many ways because, one, Kimberly never thought of Tommy as like a brother. A best friend? Well, sure, it makes sense. I mean, they've been together for all this time. And I often think that couples do start off as best friends. I really do, to some degree. So I can picture that. But like a brother, uh-uh. The way Kimberly looked at him when she first saw him in Green with Evil, that is not the look of someone who thinks of him as a brother. And certainly not during the Green Candle episode, the I'm Dreaming of a White Ranger episode, and all the moments that they were together. So, her seeing him as a brother, no. She never saw him as a brother. Now, some people online have claimed that they're just piggybacking off of Jason and Amy's real relationship behind the scenes. Because it's no secret they were such close friends that they practically were like family. And maybe that was part of the inspiration, but that's still no excuse. Because the fact is, it just makes it worse for us. They never acted like they were brother and sister. They acted like a real couple. So that's problem number one. Problem number two, the description of this other guy.
You know I would never do anything to hurt you. But I feel like I found the person that I belong with. He's wonderful, kind, and caring. You'd really like him.
I mean, it sounds like a fantasy. I've seen lots of TV shows where Dear John letters came up, and that's not how they usually write it up at all. because this sounds too packed and rehearsed. It really does. It just sounds like a way to hurt him even more. Because, you know, he was always kind to her and caring. He did so much for her. Heck, he put himself in danger for her multiple times. And that's the truth. He looked out for her. He protected her. He had her back whenever she needed it. And she had his whenever he needed it, too. And then, of course, there was this line.
Everything would be perfect if it weren't for hurting you. But I have to follow my heart. I will always care about you, Tommy. Please forgive me, Kimberly.
I can't deny that whole thing that she had to follow her heart, but it's like she totally forgot what he had meant to her. And that's not Kimberly. She would not have forgotten all that he meant to her, because he meant a lot to her from the beginning, and she literally just threw that away. That's not the Kimberly we know and love. She wasn't the type to just throw that away. Heck, she was willing to give up being a Power Ranger because, she had dreams of being the great gymnast and all that. And don't forget, Tommy, he was willing to let her go be that great gymnast. He didn't want to hold her back. So that's another reason why Kimberly wouldn't write that kind of letter. And afterwards, when Tommy says,
I just don't get it. I mean, Kimberly's never mentioned anything in any of her letters. Until now.
And that's just it. She never hinted at anything before, so why now? That doesn't fit. And I can't picture Kimberly keeping Tommy in the dark about this. I really can't. Now, the letter as a whole, in fact, the whole scene is bad on one other level. And, the best way to describe it would be to talk about the infamous and certainly the most controversial episode of The Simpsons, The Principal and the Pauper. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this story, because how it goes here is it is revealed that Principal Skinner really isn't Principal Skinner. Turns out he's an imposter, and the real one was supposedly killed in Vietnam. And when he went to tell Skinner's mom, he didn't have the guts to tell her the truth. And so all this time he was pretending to be Seymour Skinner, and then later, of course, he becomes Principal Skinner. And that episode is so hated by the fans. It is the most controversial of all time. It's been said best by Harry Shearer, who played Principal Skinner. When Harry talked about this, he said that it was insulting to the fans. And he was right. This was completely insulting to the fans. The biggest complaint that I hear from the fans themselves is one very important thing here. When they did this episode, they literally erased 9 years worth of character development for him. And that's exactly what happened here in this episode of Power Rangers. They literally erased 3 years worth of character development between Tommy and Kim. Or a relationship development, if you want to call it that, because, well, it's what it was. They literally just erased that whole thing. That was insulting to all of us. And not to mention, whenever you see Tommy read that letter, you feel his pain in the worst way, because you felt like you got stabbed in the back. And I'm pretty sure that's how he felt, story-wise. And, I cannot picture Kimberly doing that to him. The fact is, folks, it was a terrible thing to do. And here's the thing that everybody just overlooks. And that's the fact that if Amy Jo Johnson didn't leave Power Rangers, we would not be putting up with this. And that's the truth. The fact is, they only created this moment just to get Kim out of the picture and make way for Kat as the new love interest. And that was terrible. Now, granted, maybe if it was done a little differently, I might be more open to the possibility. However, they didn't. Instead, they did it like this.
Dear Tommy, everything is going great here in Florida. Coach Schmidt has me as ready as I'll ever be for the competition.
Man, Kimberly's gonna do great.
What else does she say?
Competition? Tommy, this is the hardest letter I've ever had to write. You've always been my best friend, and in some ways you're like a brother. But something has happened here that I can't explain. It's both been wonderful and painful at the same time. Tommy I've met someone else.
What? That can't be right.
Tommy, maybe you should finish this another time.
Let me see. Tommy, you know I would never do anything to hurt you. But I feel like I found the person that I belong with. He's wonderful, kind, and caring. You'd really like him. Everything would be perfect if it weren't for hurting you. But I have to follow my heart. I will always care about you, Tommy. Please forgive me, Kimberly.
And that's just unforgivable. That's why this scene is so infamous. Not to mention the episode because of it. Let me know what you guys think. This is Movie Fan, signing off.